Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm doing things differently this time. I'm doing a top-down view because I'm showing a lot of discs that I've bought. Now the whole idea this time around is I'm going to show you a bunch of the discs and you get to pick the ones I review. A lot of them are from Imprint, the Australian company that's putting out some new Blu-rays. Some of them are from Umbrella Entertainment. And one or two, actually one, is from Cinema Cult, another company in Australia that's producing Blu-rays. Now, if you're going to kind of catalogue the three companies, Imprint's at the top, then you've got Umbrella Entertainment, which is starting to do some really interesting work with a lot of extras in it. Then you've got Cinema Cult, which gives you totally bare-bone movies, mostly genre films, but they give it to you at a budget price here in Australia. Now, I don't expect everybody to buy these movies, to be honest with you, but I want to know which ones you want me to review. I'm going through everything I've got on the Imprint side of things. I'm going through a couple that I'm going to get in the next week or so, which I want to review, but I want to see how people feel about it, because basically I'm here to do what you ask me to do to a certain extent, because I am a river to my people. So let's get on with it and take a look at some of the movies. I'll talk about them briefly. You tell me what you want to see. The Assassination Bureau Limited with Diana Rigg and Oliver Reed. A lot of fun, this one, and based on a story by Jack London, oddly enough. The back of it's got some nice stuff. I've also got a whole bunch of lobby cards for this, so if I end up reviewing this one, I'm going to show the lobby cards as well, because I ended up with a job lot of them and they are quite charming. So that's the third one. This one I bought yesterday and I'm quite glad I did. Last movie from a classic action film director. It's Sam Peckinpah's The Osterman Weekend. This is one of the really big premium Imprint ones. It's number 109 and it's a double disc set. So if you have a look at that, you can take this off. You get the theatrical version of the movie, which has got that classic woman with a bow and arrow look on it, and the back of it's pretty prosaic. Then you get the Sam Peckinpah cut of the movie as the second disc. Now, I'm inclined to review this one if I'm going to, because I think that a director knows what they like and knows what they want from a film, even when the studio doesn't. So I'm inclined to review that one rather than compare and contrast, because it does get a bit dull when you do that. This one's got a lot of good extras on it as well about Sam Peckinpah, and yeah, based on a Robert Ludlum novel that stars Rutger Hauer, John Hurt, Craig T. Nelson, Dennis Hopper and Burt Lancaster. Can't go wrong with that. But it's a really nice package, as indeed are all of these premium ones that Imprint put together. In fact, I've got one other premium Imprint. I've reviewed the movies in the other one, but I want to show you the kind of thing they're putting together for this. Here's the Michael Caine Harry Palmer set that they did. The Ipcress Files, Funeral in Berlin, and the $1 Billion Brain. Let's have a look. There's the back of it, which is kind of cool. Oddly enough, there's a card attached with the details of what's on each one. But if you take them out, there's the Ipcress File. There's Funeral in Berlin. There's a groovy cover for $1 Billion Brain. So this one's I like a lot. They're a little more expensive, of course, because you're getting more for them. But if you can afford them, it's a nice package put together by Imprint with a ton of extras on each of the three films. I'll link back to the video I did about these 3 movies before the imprint video was released. But that one does really well on the channel. And I'm not re-reviewing it, but I'm glad I've got this as a kind of prestige version of the 3 films. Moving right along, this is number 33 on the imprints. It's 5, Arch Obelisk 5, which is a post-apocalyptic movie. In fact, it may be one of the first post-nuclear apocalypse movies. 4 men and 1 woman are the last 5 people left on Earth. This is their story. I haven't seen this one for a very long time. I saw it on late night television when the world was young. But yeah, I'm kind of inclined to do this one as well, and I know science fiction rates very well on the channel. So I'm looking forward to re-watching that, whether I do it as a review for the Patreon supporters, as a written review, or whether I review it for the channel. It's really interesting small film. This one, you know how I like movies about movies, and this is definitely one of those. A classic of the 1970s, and I think one that doesn't get anywhere near as much love as it should. The Day of the Locust, with Donald Sutherland, Karen Black, William Atherton's in it as well, and a very young Jackie Earle Haley. This one's number 13 of the imprints, and yeah, it's one of the darkest Hollywood movies about Hollywood that you can imagine. Fantastic 1970s stuff, but I do want to do a full review in some format of this, but we'll just see whether it does get to the channel or whether I do it on as a written review. This one we've got to do. No questions about it. I know you love it. I love it. Danger Diabolic. Now this one's out of print now. I know there's one JB Hi-Fi store here in Melbourne that's got it at least. Delia De Laurentiis produced it. Mario Bava directed it. It stars John Philip Law and Marissa Mell, and also Michelle Piccoli. But yeah, there it is. Grooviest of groovy 1960s movies. It's based on an Italian fumetti cartoon. I'm not going to talk any more about it because I want to review this in some way. Fantastic soundtrack by Ennio Morricone as well. One of the classic films. You've got to have this in your collection in some form to really appreciate kind of cult cinema. And Imprint have a love for the leading actor of this movie. They put out a few of his things now, and I hope they put out more in the future. It's The Carpetbagger, starring George Peppard, Alan Ladd, Bob Cummings and Carol Baker. Based on a Harold Robbins novel. It's a potboiler, but it's got some really interesting aspects to it. Like this film, and I watched it last year. Over-the-top 1960s melodrama at its best. And this was number 9 in the imprint listings. So there's that. Number 111 of the imprints. I'm going to do something with this. I think I'm going to do a Sam Fuller double feature, and this will feature it though. China Gate, starring Gene Barry, Angie Dickinson, and Nat King Cole in his first acting role. I know he did St. Louis Blues a little bit after this, and he did a few other things, and of course he turns up in Cat Ballou. But I like this one. It's one of the first American movies about the first Indochina War, the one the French fought against the Viet Minh. Really interesting film. Small budget, but it does pack a punch. And the hero of this film is not who you think it is. It's a really interesting one. It's got a lot of extras in it. There's a really good essay about early roles by Angie Dickinson by Kat Ellinger, which you should really find a copy of it just for that alone. But the movie itself is really good. Low budget. It cuts corners where it has to, but it tells a bigger story than the budget would let you know. Real hidden gem. Haven't seen this one yet, but I'm inclined to watch it soon. From 1974, directed by Carol Rice, starring James Caan, Paul Sorvino, Lauren Hutton, The Gambler. I want to know more about this movie. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm inclined to watch it soon. Number 49 in the imprint. Axel Fried is an intelligent and well-respected professor of literature who uses his great writing as a springboard for examining moral and philosophical issues with his class, but he's also an addicted gambler. That should be kind of interesting. For $10,000 they break your arms. For $20,000 they break your legs. Axel Fried owes $44,000. Want to see that one. A lot of good extras in there as well, but I'm going to go into this one fairly cold. Let me know whether this is one you want to see. This one I just got the other day. Sturviko's Kevin Bacon supernatural thriller from 1999. It's number 91 in the it's number 91 in the imprint thing. It's number 91 in the imprint list, and it says some doors weren't meant to be open. Hard-working family man Tom Witzker is hypnotized by a neighborhood party. Upon waking, he is confronted with horrific visions, which he begins to realize are of an unsolved crime. Now, my friend Grant Watson over at fictionmachine.com recommends this one highly. I haven't seen it since 1999, so I don't remember a lot about it. I remember it being pretty good, but I don't recall a lot about it. But I want to take a look at this one because I think it may well be a better experience for me to watch this now than it was in 1999. Based on the novel by Richard Matheson, written for the screen and directed by David Cope. Yeah, this one could be kind of potentially interesting. Stir of echoes. Then I went back to 1970s weirdness, and I don't know much about this apart from the fact that it stars Strother Martin, L.Q. Jones and Anna Capri. 1970s Satanic Panic, The Brotherhood of Satan, a story of contemporary family witchcraft in California. This one's 57 in the imprint version from 1971. During the day, witches look like everyone else, but at night, a demon spirit of madness and murder holds a California town in the grip of terror. Just based on that blurb alone, you've got to love it. So let me know whether you want me to do this. I'm rethinking this now because everyone's going to say do all of the movies. Give me 3 that you want me to do. 3 movies that from these movies that I'm going to show you. I haven't finished yet. Give me 3 you want me to do, and I will definitely review them for the channel. That then brings me to the Umbrella stuff. Now, Umbrella used to do bare bones stuff. They used to do they were putting out a lot of Australian stuff. They were putting out a lot of cult stuff, but they didn't add a lot of kind of extras. But they've started to do that differently with a few different movies, and they started to branch out into specific genres. They've got a kind of more adult brand. They've also got one that's showing world movies, and they've selected a really nice bunch of world movies, including things like Run Lola Run. But they've also got a kind of brand called Films of Fury. And I've got 2 Bruce Lee movies from Films of Fury. Fist of Fury, first one. Interesting film. I like this one a lot. Early Bruce Lee. This one says number 2 of the Films of Fury. So they've actually copied that from imprint. And it's got a few extras. Really nice transfer. Region B lock, so can't help that. But I'm looking forward to watching this one. I had a DVD of this, but I've since gotten rid of it. But I'm glad I've got a Blu-ray of it because Bruce Lee was such a seminal influence on my teenage movie going. And I really want to dive back into his stuff a little bit more. I know I've done Enter the Dragon, but I want to do some of the early things like this. And then there's the first of the Films of Fury that came out, The Big Boss, which I like, maybe not as much as Fist of Fury, but I like The Big Boss. I know they're also putting out Way of the Dragon, where he basically kicks the shit out of Chuck Norris. So putting out that, going to be a really interesting rewatch for me, The Big Boss. There's the spine where it says number 1, Superhuman Kung Fu Feats. That's all you can ask for. But yeah, take my money. It's got a few interviews and a few extras about Bruce Lee mostly. Bruce Lee is one of those subjects for extras in movies that you can only say so much about. There's a limited amount of information. There's a limited amount of archival footage and it's tended to be shared between all of the different releases. This one again is Region B locked, but I'm looking forward to that revisit. Got two more for you. This one I picked up from Amazon and it's in French and it's a triple feature based on an early 20th century series of novels and a 1913 movie. It's a 1960s kind of pop culture Fantomas. Stars Jean Marais, Louis de Funès, Marlène Desmarget. This one is groovy 1960s cult movies. Thinking along the lines of things like Danger, Diabolic and other movies like that, Fantomas is a lot of fun. It's got helicopters, it's got an anarchic evil villain and a crusading journalist, both of whom are played by Jean Marais. It's got comedian Louis de Funès playing Inspector Juve, the police inspector who investigates things. I think there may be a lot of influence on the Herbert Long character from the Pink Panther movies on Inspector Juve. But it's very groovy. It's stylistically wonderfully looking series. And there are three movies in here. There's Fantomas from 1964, Fantomas Unleashed from 65, and Fantomas vs Scotland Yard from 1967, which I think had a much smaller budget than the other two. It's in French with optional English subtitles. It's Region A locked, so it's an American available release. And it's got audio commentary on the first one from film historian Tim Lucas. So there's some good stuff here. Directed by Andre Unibel. I've watched the first one of these, but I'm going to revisit these, and it's not too expensive to buy, this one. And if you're interested in kind of 1960s groovy action cinema, you could do worse than getting this 3-film collection. The last thing is from Cinema Cult, the really cheapo, well not cheapo, the really budget label from Australia. It's a Lucio Fulci movie, and it's a Giallo, kind of. And you've got to like the title of this one. Don't Torture a Duckling. Really dark horror Giallo kind of thing. Florinda Balkan's in it, Barbara Boucher and Thomas Millian. Haven't seen it yet, but I think I know a bit about it from what people have told me. But I want to do this one. Lucio Fulci did the zombie movies in Italian cinema, and also did a whole bunch of Italian westerns and things like that. Should be fun to watch in the really sick kind of way, which is not in itself a bad thing. But anyway, there's the list. They're the ones I'm potentially going to review for the channel. As I said, a lot of them are Imprint. Imprint is not a sponsor of this channel at all, but they're putting out such good content, which is very much in the realm that this channel covers, that I'll be stupid not to avail myself of their product. That's it for this time around. If you enjoy the channel and you want me to talk about these movies, subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment and hit the notification bell. You can also support the channel by going to patreon.com/paleocinema. So stay warm if you're down here, stay cool if you're up north. Watch some good movies, watch some bad movies, watch a lot of cult movies if you possibly can. And I'll catch you next time.